Good afternoon, my friend, and welcome live to the Lions Den in Jacksonville, Florida for week one of SFL action. This is Canton Classics versus Jacksonville as we are here live from the Kings home stadium. My name's PDJ Zeller. Alongside me today, Alden Bleeker. And Alden, we have two teams that are going to be trying to turn their fortunes from season 20 around, and it all starts here in week one.
Yeah, absolutely. Two teams with different approaches to their rebuild in this offseason. Canton sticking with a lot of what they already had. Very solid linebacking core, very solid defensive line core. Meanwhile, Jacksonville loading up on picks and free agents for the future. So we're going to have to see in this very early stage of the season which team is more on track.
Yeah, coming off a rough season, only 2 wins last season for the Kings, only 4 wins last season for Canton. Although, Alden, one thing I found very interesting for Canton, this is a team, they had the 6th best defense in terms of points allowed in the league last year. So this is a defensive unit that was very good last year, and they kept most of the crucial pieces and drafted some more. This could be one of the best, if not the best defense in the league this year, depending on how things go.
And I think you can't sleep on Jacksonville's offense for that matter, because of course we've got OJ Bruin returning, Kenny Slider, this exciting young pick lining up behind him, and it's going to be a lot of jostling for that starting QB position over the course of this season.
Here we go. The kick is going to be returned, taken up to the 10, 20. Little room to run up to the 30, breaks one tackle, and he'll be brought down at the 30-yard line, and that will be Al Dillapre Sr., and that's where Canton will start with the ball.
And this is the first drive for this new offense. A lot of shakeups for Canton. Cameron Curtis left in the offseason. Scar Patterson, the 3-season quarterback for the San Diego Mavericks, coming in to take his place. And when you have all those pieces that kind of stay the same in the offseason, it makes it a lot better to kind of jostle things around on the other side of the ball.
Here we go. Patterson under center, I formation behind him. The back in the backfield is Robert Johnson. 2 receivers out left, and it'll go to Johnson. Johnson takes up the middle, follows a lineman, and he will gain a decent bit of yardage there. 4 yards. It'll be 2nd and 6. And yeah, like you were saying though about Scar Patterson, I mean, he's coming off a very respectable campaign. 28 touchdowns, 28 interceptions, 3,000 passing yards last season. As he's already back up the line, so I'll hold that thought real quick. We're in the pistol formation. Patterson under center, 1 receiver out left, and it's going to be a handoff again to Johnson. Johnson not going to really go anywhere. But what I wanted to say quickly there, Alden, too, was 2 seasons ago, he passed for over 5,000 yards and 38 touchdowns. This is a guy that's shown he could be the best quarterback in the league if you give him the right opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really the thing is, you know, he has so much potential, so much promise, and really going to try to live up to it this season.
He is here, and it's new team for him, and here we go. It's going to be a handoff, and that's going to go nowhere. Awesome play on the defensive end there. Getting into the backfield, I believe that was John Martin, the linebacker.
Yeah, that was John Martin. I mean, this is really something that Jacksonville has always tried to do, even when I was a member of this team, is get this solid tackling and just really suffocate the defense. Setting up a 4th and short or a 4th and mid is better than not getting the 4th down at all.
So Charles Brown will punt it away, and it will be a good punt down to the 25 for Jacksonville, and it will be returned for about 4 yards. Jacksonville will take over on their own 29-yard line as we're going to get a look at OJ Bruin and his offense.
Yeah, and OJ Bruin, really the offensive leader for this Jacksonville team. I have nothing but positive things to say about OJ Bruin. He's one of those guys that takes on a lot of responsibility on the field and also takes a lot of responsibility off the field. Really one of those guys that helps improve the environment of your locker room.
Bruin under center, Shepard Vicarian, the 1st-round running back in the backfield, and it will go to Vicarian. Vicarian has a gap up the middle, breaks 1 tackle, stays on his feet, and a solid gain of 8 yards to the rookie. Welcome to the SFL.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's been much debate, to put it mildly, about the status of running backs in the SFL. But so far, it's been 5 plays in a row where it's been handed off to the running back. So it seems that most teams tend to favor those running plays so far very early on in the season.
Jacksonville, the home favorite, at 3.5. They're going to see if they can cover today. It's going to be a toss back to Vicarian. Vicarian with a lot of space. Vicarian picks up the first down. Nice run there. Takes a hit on the end of the play. But yeah, I also want to mention too, O.J. Bruin, last season, probably the worst year of his career. 19 touchdowns, 40 interceptions. How does he turn it around this year?
Well, I think, I think it's a mentality thing. Jacksonville has been rebuilding for some time now, and it can be easy to, get hung up on these short seasons, but you got to have the memory of a goldfish sometimes.
Bruin in the pocket. He's going to get sacked. He had all day to get rid of it right there, and he is going to get taken down. That was a nice play there by number 69, LL Volt.
Yeah, and we're going to see here, this is really the epitome of a coverage sack. LL Volt just pushes the pocket, and eventually a seam ruptures and he's able to get inside the pocket. Just real coverage all the way down the field. Like we said, this pristine linebacker core for Canton, excuse me.
Here we go under center. No back in the backfield for Bruin. 2 receivers out left, 2 out right. And it's going to be a pass play for sure. Bruin steps up, fires middle of the field, and threw it right into the hands of a defender, but could not come down with it. I believe that was Jamal.
Yeah, and that is something that has been something that is more in Jacksonville's defensive identity, having the secondary all the way down the field that can just grab the ball out of the air. But O.J. Bruin has really got to be careful because the secondary and these linebackers are so good for Canton. They'll grab those more often than not.
3rd and 16, pass play for Bruin, quick throw over the middle, and it's picked off over the middle of the field, and that one's going to be returned. Good return down to the 33-yard line, and that was a good play there for Frank Bernstein.
Yeah, and the Jacksonville faithful not happy here. And we were just talking about how O.J. Bruin's got to be very careful with these plays up the middle, just lurking in the middle. And to cap it all off, a fantastic little stutter step there at the end. And wow, this is some fantastic field position for Canton. It's as good as if they had held on to the ball rather than punting it.
Here comes Patterson. He wears a visor, and I love me a quarterback that wears a visor. Up to the line of scrimmage, 1st down and 10 after the interception. Sees something he doesn't like in the defense, calls an audible. Johnson's in the backfield. Receiver on each side, and it'll go to Johnson. 4th straight rushing play. Johnson maybe goes about 2 yards. But I want to talk quickly again about a little bit about O.J. Bruin, because for him, he has Kenny Slider looking over his shoulder now. And, a lot of people feel like he might just be a placeholder for that spot for right now, but a lot of pressure on O.J.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think OJ's always been a guy who doesn't really have too much of an ego about his position. So I think having that veteran leadership can really help a young player develop.
Here goes Johnson again. Johnson sheds off a tackle. He gains a couple of yards. 3rd and 6. Back to your thought.
And as this season unfolds, we're really going to see, I do think, perhaps not as heated as some quarterback battles in the history of football. I think we made the comparison to Drew Bledsoe and Tom Brady. We'll have to see if it rises to that level.
Patterson fires deep to the end zone, and it is caught for the touchdown, Bob Long. And that's a good way to start your relationship with your new tight end.
Yeah, absolutely. Just what a fantastic play all the way up and down the field. I mean, Canton executing to absolute perfection. Look at this, just straight coverage. But because he realizes that the cornerback has just very slightly overrun this route, he's able to just kind of pivot in place and grab this ball. And then the cornerback out of position. That is some fantastic chess maneuvering by the Canton offense.
Rob Ems for the extra point. Canton strikes first here in this one. The kick is up, and the kick is good. 7-zip in favor of the Canton Classic. And for Scar Patterson, my apology, I called him Shaq there. I think Scar Patterson, a great way to start your new season with your new team. And, you and me talked a lot pregame, Alden, about how both these teams are in a rebuild, but Canton kind of feels like the team that could do a quick turnaround here and become very good very quick. And Scar makes an early statement here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's really, on the fact that, when you're rebuilding, sometimes you got to take that bullet early. This is the season where Jacksonville have kind of taken that bullet and said, okay, we need to start from the top all the way down to the bottom here. And that restructuring is the first step for Jacksonville to be the long-term contenders that they really have always felt that they deserve to be.
All right, well, here's another chance here at O.J. Bruin. They got good receivers on this team. Kingston Ellington, a former All-Star. They brought in Connor Weston from Arizona, who had over 1,000 yards last season. Some good receivers. It's just going to be on O.J. Bruin to get the ball to those receivers, but it will be a handoff to Vicarian. Vicarian fights as hard as you're going to see for a 2-yard run. It'll be 2nd and 8.
Yeah, well, I believe SFL Commissioner Cameron Irvine mentioned as we were off mic about the SFL really becoming more physical over the course of this new NFL 2K4 era, and we saw it there, just trench warfare up in front.
Here's a toss to Vicarian. Vicarian gets a good head of steam. He gains 4 yards. It'll be 3rd down and 4.
And that is another really good job of creating the blocks, but just space really coming at such a premium today. It's another instance of where the running back was able to open it up, but just very clearly, very quickly disappears.
Bruin fires, and it's deflected. Nice play over the middle there. I believe that was by a secondary player. It was Connor Darien, swats it away.
Yeah, and man, 2 drives that really stall out. This one, not as catastrophically because they're at least going to get to punt it away. But man, Jacksonville not off to the start that they were hoping for, and they're going to be looking for solutions on this sideline. Frank Gooden and team to turn this one around.
Well, here's the punt. It's a good one. It's going to be called fair catch down at the 22-yard line. That's where Canton will take over.
And this first drive for Canton, where they were able to march down the field in a small handful of plays, really demonstrated some cleverness. And I think most importantly is really going to settle Scar Patterson. And he's got that first touchdown. He's got that first, 50 yards or so out of the way. And I think this is going to really show some confidence here.
Patterson looking comfortable under center. He's going to hand it off to Johnson. Johnson gets met in the gap. He gains maybe a yard. Good defensive play there.
And the linebackers and defensive line, for that matter, are all over this. I wonder how long both of these teams are going to stick with this heavy run offense before they start to switch things up.
Patterson in the I formation. Johnson in the backfield sees something he likes in the defense, calls an audible at the line of scrimmage. 2nd down and 9 here early in the game, about halfway through the first quarter. It's going to be a handoff again to Johnson. Johnson goes up the gap, gains about 3 or 4 yards. It'll be 3rd and a manageable 5.
Well, and manageable is the key word. Always the thing that's in mind for Jacksonville is that you don't have to force a fumble. You don't have to force an interception and, make a bad mistake that leads to the opposing team busting off some big yardage. Just contain them.
Patterson runs around the pocket, does a spin move, and he's sacked, taken down in the backfield, ran around for a little bit too long there, and that's an excellent play by Logan Gardner.
Well, we were talking about how Scar Patterson had the least sacks of his career last season, but yet the most yards lost of any season. And plays like that are kind of typical of how it happened. Not that many sacks in terms of volume, but plays where Scar Patterson is forced to drop back out of the pressure and dropped in the pocket.
This one will be a decent punt down to the 40-yard line. It will be returned. Kings just get about 5 more yards. They'll start at their own 47, right about midfield in Jacksonville, looking to get something going with 3:40 left in the first.
Yeah, and really time to not think about the past. As I said, Jacksonville, sometimes you got to have the memory of a goldfish, and whether that applies to a bad season or whether that applies to a bad start to a game, sometimes all you can do is just focus on the next one.
O.J. Bruin, the veteran starter, 5th year in the league, 3rd year starting for Jacksonville. He's commanding this offense. McCary and the rookies in the backfield. 2 all-star level receivers out wide. And Bruin's going to pass. Bruin! Fumble! It's recovered by Canton, and the Canton defense making a big statement early in this game with 2 turnovers in the first quarter.
And this is going to be a big hit. What was that by Mike All? I wasn't quite able to see the numbers there,
I believe
but just
so.
I would challenge that, and that is precisely what Jacksonville is doing. As I was about to say, I believe there was some forward motion on that throw.
All right, well, let's take a retroactive look at this play presented by Retroid, as we're going to see what the call on the field is going to be for this challenge. But yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think the arm might have came forward.
And we're going to see here in the pocket, pressure coming.
Yeah, I think that's out, actually.
That is, from that angle, yeah, that does look like a fumble. That's a fantastic angle for the refs to have.
Oh, it's an incomplete pass that
Wow.
got overturned. Lucky there for Jacksonville, because, yeah.
You know, it's sometimes you have evidence to overturn it, but it is not overwhelming. And when it's such a game-defining call like that, you can't overturn it on a lack of evidence. So perhaps a case of the refs wanting to be sure, and the only thing that they're sure of is that little bit of forward motion, the little gunslinger off to the side there.
So Bruin gets away with one there, and it will be Jacksonville's ball. So here we go. Bruin does a toss back to Vakarian. Vakarian with a lot of daylight ahead of him. He can't quite get to the outside. Gains about 6. However, it'll still be third down and manageable for the Kings.
Yeah, and I think they'll be counting their lucky stars to have a chance at third and medium and third and short, rather than having to send their defense back onto the field. So it really is just sort of an exhale that they can set up this play now.
Third down and 4. It's going to go to Vakarian. Vakarian looking for a hole. Can't get there. Stays on his feet. He does get there. Goes down the sideline. And a huge gain. Way to turn nothing into something there for the rookie, Shepard Vakarian.
I mean, my goodness, this looked like it was going to collapse in the backfield, but just one stiff arm and just able to swing all the way around to the outside is Vakarian. I mean, what can you say? Just sheer determination not to give up on that play.
So it's going to be first down and 10. First time today for the Kings getting into the classic territory. The Kings firing back a little bit on this drive. I formation, Bruin under center. Vakarian, the rookie back, still in the backfield. This time it's going to go to the fullback, and that one's going to get a yard, I suppose, and it'll be second down and 9. Second down and 9. They're going to come back up to the line of scrimmage. Bruin is going to be under center. I formation, 2 receivers out left. Bruin getting in a little bit of a groove here. Sees something he doesn't like at the line of scrimmage. He's going to change up the play here. He's going to take a long count. Now he will snap it, looking to throw his Bruin. Clean pocket, fires over the middle. That's complete to Vakarian, and that'll bring up third manageable.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that we were looking at on offense. You know, Jacksonville have really depended heavily on the pass in the past, but adding these receiving backs who can not only run but catch the ball is so huge for OJ Bruin.
Bruin under center I formation. Could be a run play here on 3rd and 4. It won't be. It's a pass. Bruin, clean pocket again. O-line doing a fine job. Throws right side. It's caught at the goal line. It's going to be first and goal. Beautiful catch there by the new tight end, Talon Steele.
And eager to show off is Talon Steele. I mean, Jacksonville have always been proponents of tall ball, but just backpedaling into the cornerback and just reaching up, just all barely even jumping, just reaching up into the air. And that is just pure physicality. Jacksonville making it happen on that pass.
Great play from the O-line, too. O-line really giving Bruin a lot of protection on this drive, giving him lots of time. Here we go. Handoff Vakarian. Vakarian has some space. Stiff arm, and he's taken down to the 1-yard line. It'll be second to goal from the 1. Yeah, let's talk about these tight ends. Jim Copeland, Talon Steele, both free agent signees for this Jacksonville team. Both 6'7", but neither of them really receiving tight ends. They've kind of both been historically blocking tight ends. Let's see what happens here, though. Second and goal, long I formation. Vakarian will be the back. And there's going to be a change in formation. They have the tight end switch spots. Going to do a little bit of motion across the field. Going to send one of the tight ends out wide. And it's going to be a toss play to the left side. And it's going to walk in for Shepard Vakarian. And now officially welcome to the SFL for Vakarian.
Yeah, and that is a much more coordinated attack by Jacksonville than what we had previously seen on these drives. Siege Vicarian doing a fantastic job creating space for himself as well as working with the blocking. And we see again there these great blocks thrown up front. The defensive tackle, Joey Schwint for Jacksonville, throwing a great block to get him into the end zone there. And that is Jacksonville performing the way that they've been built to for this season.
Jordan Bradshaw for the extra point. And here we go. And it is good. Hold is up and it is good. Bradshaw 18 for 18 on field goals last year, 26 for 26 on extra points, and he keeps the streak alive as it is all knotted up at 7 here. Alden.
Yeah, and took him a little longer to get there in terms of time, but more or less the same result for Jacksonville. A small handful of plays to get him down the field, 7 points put up on the board, and if you're Jacksonville, you got to think about this is a positive thing and just build from that positive.
So a knee will be taken, and Canton will take over from their own 20-yard line, where they'll try to answer back after a nice drive there. But yeah, what I was kind of trying to make a point there real quick was with these tight ends that have been signed here by Jacksonville. They aren't really historically receiving tight ends, but a big reception there on that drive.
Yeah, and I think Frank Gooden has always been sort of one of the chess masters of the SFL. So having this new system where he can afford to have, treat players as chess pieces, I think really you're going to see him operating at a level that no one has ever really seen before.
First down and 10 from their own 20-yard line. It's going to be a toss to the right-hand side. That gets gobbled alive in the backfield. Never had a chance. I believe that might have been the rookie Durr that was all over that one.
Yeah, and just sending the pressure towards Canton. Jacksonville would love to get the ball back before the end of this quarter.
Patterson under center. 2 receivers out right. Johnson in the backfield. And looks like a little pressure may be coming. It is coming. House is set. It's going to be a screen to Johnson. Johnson breaks the tackle. He goes down the sideline, and he's going to make it 3rd down and 2. Great job there by Scar recognizing the pressure coming.
Yeah, and as you say, the pressure for the Kings has always been historically something that they have in the back pocket as well as the secondary, and they're sending it at them every single down this drive, it seems.
Yeah, they bring it again. Johnson shakes off the tackles, though, and he picks up the first down. Great job by Johnson, and that will probably be the last play of the first quarter. So, at the end of the first quarter, the scoreboard will read 7-2 the Canton Classic and 7-2 the Jacksonville Kings, and what's been a doozy opening week matchup here so far, Alden.
Yeah, absolutely. Both of these teams very even, and, we talked about how Canton in theory are the more complete rebuild team, but both of these teams trying to prove that they've made progress in this offseason.
Well, here we go for Scar Patterson. It's going to be first down. A quarterback, Scar, a very confident guy. He believes he's one of the best quarterbacks in the SFL, and he went to a team that he believes is in position to challenge for the championship this year. And he hands off to Johnson. Goes nowhere, loss of 3.
Yeah, well, as you say, Scar Patterson has never been lacking in confidence. I mean, when you're an athlete, having a healthy ego that's kept in check is certainly an asset. But, he really, as a result of that confidence, has taken on a new challenge, leaving a team that he's been with for 3 seasons. And, it's a whole new world.
He fires deep over the middle, and it's going to be deflected by the defense. They'll bring up 3rd and 13. Threw into triple coverage there looking for Jack Wall. Couldn't get it.
Yeah, and Jack Wall, speaking of the tall ball style, former Kings player that I would very much associate with that style. Very tall, very lanky tight end who loves to just reach up and grab the ball out of the air. Was very impressive when I was his teammate.
Patterson scrambles, fires deep over the middle of the field, and once again went for a double coverage pass there, this time to one of his receivers. I think that might be Ryan Owens. Incomplete. It's going to be 4th and 13 and a punt.
Yeah, and Jacksonville were the favorites coming into this game. They've managed to find their rhythm on both sides of the ball, getting the touchdown and now getting the punt. I mean, really the only thing that they could have asked for is to push them back about 20 yards because they're going to be starting from around the 50-yard line.
Good punt, really good punt. That's going to go down to about the 35, and the tackle will be made at about the 38. And Jacksonville officially will take over their own 39, so a decent punt. But Jacksonville, early it seemed like Canton had a lot of momentum. Now the momentum's kind of swung back to the hometown team.
Yeah, Charles Brown, the punter for Canton, helping them out a little bit there. But this is really one of those positions where Jacksonville have the ability. There's so much time left in this quarter that I think it really the ball is in their court, so to speak.
Bruin under center, the rookie Vicarian who just got the touchdown in the backfield. Bruin's looking to pass. He throws right side, complete. Ooh. That's to the fullback Jay Balmer. Balmer works hard for 4 yards.
Yeah, and just outrunning the second cover, or the double coverage a little bit. And it's an instance where they're able to bring him down, but not before he can do some damage. You'd love to string together some of those 5-yard plays that keep the clock running if you're Jacksonville.
Under center again, a lot of under center from O.J. Bruin. He's a quarterback that likes being under center, and he will be here. He sends a tight end in motion. Takes a long time at the line of scrimmage. Bruin really trying to dissect this defense, and now will be a handoff to Vicarian. Vicarian with a little bit of an inside handoff, and he has space. Vicarian down to the 40, down to the 30, down to the 21. Man to beat. Can he beat him at the 10? Ooh. He cannot. He's down to the 7, and Shepard Vicarian in his first game in the SFL making his presence known here early.
And Siege Vicarian doing a fantastic job, breaks this first tackle we're going to see, and then just so much green grass in front of him, seemingly nothing that can be done to stop him there. We're going to see Chris Porter, the defensive end for Canton, hustling his butt down the field there, and Siege Vicarian averaging 10 yards a carry and has almost 100.
First and goal. Tight end going to be stepped back a little bit. Now he's going to be sent in motion. Could be a run to the left side of the field. And here we go. First and goal. And it's going to be a handoff, this time to the backup running back. Won't go much anywhere. I believe that one was a handoff to Sean Sanders, last year's starting back. And, you know, for Sanders, it has to be weird taking the backup role now after this was your team last year.
Yeah, and it's really sort of, you know, kind of the opposite of what we talked about with the quarterback battle in Jacksonville, where they're trying out, you know, something new rather than sticking with the trusted veteran.
Toss to Shepard, pushes a man off him, pushes another man off him. Oh, he almost got it. Shepard Vicarian, wow, he is making his presence felt here in this game. What a physical runner.
And Shepard Vicarian doing a fantastic job, just as I talk about how, you know, he's this new and exciting addition to Jacksonville, as if taking it as a challenge. Almost 100 yards on the day and a touchdown, and they're knocking on the door again.
It's third and goal. Vicarian in the backfield. Let's see if he gets the ball here. Bruin under center. Bruin tosses it to him left-hand side, shoves the man off him into the end zone. Shepard Vicarian, second touchdown of the day. That'll give him 100 yards, and we're not even halfway through the second quarter. And Jacksonville takes the lead on the back of their first-round pick.
And that is just so much power by Shepard Vicarian. We've seen him use that stiff arm. Oh my goodness. Lays out his mark with a lacrosse check there. I didn't know you could do that in football, but apparently you can, and just marches his way into the end zone.
So Jacksonville, after a rough start to this game, has stormed back by just giving the ball to Shepard Vicarian here. Here's the extra point, and this one is up, and it will be good for Jordan Bradshaw. So it'll be 14-7, 5 plays, 61 yards. And all those yards came from Shepard Vicarian, as it will be middle of the second quarter, 6:59 left to play here in Canton now. Suddenly the pressure's all back on Patterson and company to answer back.
Yeah, it's been coming in these run yardages have been coming in spurts all game, it seems like, for Shepard Vicarian, but just finds a huge window to go through down there. and he all of a sudden is just on fire. And Jacksonville have found their rhythm on offense. They found their rhythm on defense last time. They're going to be looking to build on the positives and continue to do more of the same.
So Scar Patterson now and company going to try to answer back here after Jacksonville scored 14 unanswered points here on their last 2 drives. Hand off to Johnson. Johnson has a good gap up the middle. He's going to gain about 8 yards. It'll be 2nd and 2 as Robert Johnson, a little slow to get up, but a good run.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is just, again, what we talk about, just the trenches being established by the defensive and offensive lines, running backs having to work in that. And I think that's what makes the performance by Shepard Vicarian that much more impressive, that it's been so hard to find space today.
Here we go, handoff right side. Johnson doing a little bit of his own Shepard Vicarian impression there as he breaks open to some space. That'll be 1st down and 10. And, you know, Johnson coming off of a year where he would have liked to have better stats. Still not a terrible year, but he really feels like with this new passing game that they've unlocked, that could be a really big year for Robert Johnson if they can get the passing game going. Here we go on the play quickly. Scar Patterson up to the line of scrimmage, quickly sees something he likes. He calls it audible, and it's going to be a handoff to Johnson. Johnson right side, and that'll gain about 3 or 4 yards. But like I was saying there, Alden, Johnson feels like a chance to grow in the offense this year.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and like we kind of theorized off mic, you know, part of the reason that Scar Patterson came into this team is, you know, having a new challenge and having new tools to help him succeed.
Sends a man in motion, does Patterson. He sends the tight end wall to the left-hand side. Maybe the run will be going that way on 2nd and 7. Could be a fake out as well. Defense heavy stacked on the left, and it'll be a run up the gut for Patterson. Read pretty well. He'll gain about 3 yards. It's 3rd and manageable.
Yeah, and 3rd and manageable has been a comfortable place for both of these teams to operate in some circumstances today, but Canton have really kind of struggled to get to 3rd and manageable so far here today. It's really kind of their first opportunity since this game kind of flipped.
3rd and 4. Patterson and company looking to answer back after Jacksonville's been hotter than a $2 pistol here in the 2nd quarter. Long wait after the motion. Now it'll be snapped. Patterson looking to throw. Lots of pressure. Throws over the middle, and it's complete.
Oh.
Great find there as he finds his wide receiver, Al Dillapre Sr., and it'll be 1st down.
Yeah, and this is just a classic example of outrunning your coverage. I mean, this is double coverage here, but does a great job running this little angular route to push past the height, the upper part of this double coverage, and just finds the tiniest amount of space and is able to get open.
As you saw, I believe the preseason statistics there for Scar Patterson. Patterson under center, and now he's going to toss back to Johnson. Johnson eaten alive at the line of scrimmage. That play never even had a chance. That was John Martin getting the tackle for loss.
Yeah, and John Martin, one of the you know reasons that this linebacker core for Jacksonville, or this defensive unit, I should say, for Jacksonville, has been so able to stay in line today.
Patterson throws a little toss, and oh my goodness, that was right to the secondary member. Could have been an easy pick, but rather falls to the ground.
Yeah, and really a 3rd and long now. Jacksonville, even when they're not just, you know, getting the ball back in 4 downs, is really making things tough on Canton.
Here we go, 3rd down and 11. Empty backfield here for Patterson. They're going to be looking to throw. 2 receivers each side. They're going to send man in motion. That is Bob Lung. Lung goes to the right side, trips to the right side. Now 1 receiver out left. Patterson looking to throw. Good protection. Throws right side. It is complete to his new receiver, Ryan Owens, who they signed from Arizona. However, will not be quite enough for a 1st down. It is 4th and 3. Owens, 800 receiving yards last year, and Arizona, new addition to this offense.
Yeah, and Alex Bond, 2-time All-Star, making the play there, sealing things off for Jacksonville, and they get the ball back in really good field position here.
really good-looking punt. That's going to be down near
Oh my
the
goodness.
10-yard line, and that is where Jacksonville will take over their own 13. So a long way to go and a short time to get there, as there's only 3 minutes and 31 seconds left in the first half.
Well, I feel like that's the second consecutive time that I said, well, Jacksonville's going to start in good field position. And then Charles Brown, the punter for Canton, just decided to unleash a cannon and add a little 30, 40 yards to what you would normally expect out of a punt.
So here we go. It's going to be Bruin and company. Bruin with a toss to Vicarian. Vicarian tries to get to the corner again, carries the defender for a few extra yards. It's going to be 2nd and 7 as Vicarian looking like he might be a little gassed in the first half.
Yeah, and he's had a lot of the ball, so I guess it's not too surprising. There you see the statistic on your screen, 102 rushing yards, a lot of it coming from a big run, but nonetheless shouldering a big part of the offensive burden here today.
Bruin looking to throw, and he will throw, and it's snag over the middle of the field. Jim Copeland Jr., the big tight end free agent that signed, shows off the athleticism there.
I mean, my goodness, that is just something so special to behold. It goes into double coverage, as we've been seeing Jacksonville do so well, is to break through the double coverage, but to just leap up one hand in the air like a Greek statue pose. That is so fantastic.
Vicarian sheds a tackle, does not shed that one. He gets tackled in the backfield. He's getting up slower every time, and I'll tell you what, if Jacksonville wants to have sustained success both in this game and in this season, it can't be all Vicarian. O.J. Bruin's going to have to carry some of the load here, too.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, maybe it's one of those first half, second half stories where, you know, Vicarian works his butt off for the first half and, you know, he has a little bit less to do in the second half.
The man in motion goes far right. That is Connor Weston, the big free agent wide receiver. And here we go, looking to pass is Bruin. Bruin's going to throw deep over the middle, and it's complete. Has his man, and that was Talon Steele, the tight end. And whenever they've been passing, it's been going to these tight ends here for Jacksonville.
Yeah, and absolutely uncorks this one. I mean, again, just as you mentioned, O.J. Bruin getting involved in the passing game, 70 passing yards, and it's come on plays like that, just dissecting the coverage.
Well, that'll bring us to the 2-minute warning where Jacksonville just crossed midfield. They're trying to go up by 2 possessions here before we get to halftime. Can Canton and their renowned defense make a stop, or will the Jacksonville Kings continue to move? Here we go. 1st down and 10 from the classic 47-yard line. It's going to be a handoff to Vicarian. Vicarian, there's a flag on the field. Vicarian gains about 3 yards, but let's see what this flag is. It's on the defense.
Yeah, that 1st and 25. Oh my goodness, that is a devastating penalty, and that is such a mild block to get hit with a clipping call. That's rough if you're Jacksonville.
Yeah, I got the clipping call there. Now, that was on the offense. I apologize. I said defense. I must have saw the wrong way the ref pointed. But that will be 1st and 25, and yeah, that's just what Canton needed now. They have to take advantage of this gift here.
Oh, they pushed them back behind, just with this penalty, they pushed them back behind the 50-yard line.
Here we go, 1st and 25. Bruin slings it deep, and he has his man. It's completed to Connor Weston, a 1,000-yard receiver last year for Arizona, big free agent sign. He makes a big catch there. It's 2nd and 8.
Well, it needed to be a fantastic pass after that penalty set them back so far, but it was almost a replay where O.J. Bruin just sees a receiver downfield that has outrun double coverage, and he just puts the ball in the place, and his receiver does his job, goes up, gets it. I think that is the kind of play that OJ has been visualizing all preseason, all offseason.
Here we go. It's going to be a toss right side, and that'll be completed, and that is completed to Steele. Talon Steele, the tight end, again with another big catch. It's 1st and 10.
Yeah, and this is really just Jacksonville marching down the field here. Again, it's the routes that Jacksonville are running that has been such a big part of this route. The out route towards the sidelines, and he's just open in space.
All right, well, it's going to be first down and 10. So here we go. It's going to be, once again, O.J. Bruin. They're getting deeper into territory, almost field goal range now. Fires deep right side, and perfectly placed was the cornerback, but he just could not bring it down.
Yeah, and that's a marked improvement for Canton on that play, because Jacksonville have just throughout this quarter, I would say, even let alone this drive, have really done such a fantastic job diagnosing the coverage and, you know, sending little torpedoes through the holes. And that is just another example of Canton trying to adjust.
Here we go to Vicarian, right-hand side. Vicarian sheds off another tackle. That'll be 3rd and 5, and a timeout's going to be called by the Kings.
And that's almost a repeat of what we saw previously, the drive where he just sort of shoulder checked his way into the end zone. Again, the power running by Vicarian, such a big part of his game here so far.
All right, they're in field goal range now. Last season, Patterson was perfect, 18 for 18. They're well within his range. They're going to send Beasley in motion. Bruin really feeling confident right now. No backs in the backfield. This will be a passing play. Trips to the left-hand side. He's going to throw that way. And all but intercepted there. Nonetheless, it will bring down 4th and 5 and likely a field goal attempt.
The first time that Jacksonville have really stalled to recent memory. And as you say, well within the range of Jordan Bradshaw, the non-contract kicker. But they really, this is, I think, a big opportunity to stabilize for Canton as they get the ball back with less than a minute to go, but all of their timeouts.
Well, Bradshaw does make the kick. He's now 1 for 1 this season after going 18 for 18 last season. A really quality kicker here that the Kings have. Nonetheless, though, they do extend their lead out to 2 possessions here right before halftime. And now for Canton, they are going to have to go a long way in a short amount of time, albeit they do have all 3 of their timeouts, so they certainly should be capable of doing it here. Let's see what they can do. Bradshaw runs up, and Bradshaw will kick it away. It'll go deep to the Canton Classic, down in the end zone, and will be returned. It's brought out to the 10, 20, 25, and that is where Canton will go, and they'll have 45 seconds to try to get in field goal range to make it a 1-possession game once again.
Yeah, very makeable, as you say, very, very makeable distance. And it does make you a little more predictable for this Jackson defensive coordinator, because you've got to run those very tall, very long routes, and that means that you can send more deep into coverage and, you know, cover 2, cover 4, and we'll have to see which coordinator comes out on top here, I guess.
They're going to do some deep coverage here. It's going to be a throw, and that one could have been picked off. Wasn't. The intended target there was Al Dillapre Sr., who had a good catch on the last drive. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Yeah, and it's really all about the defensive formation currently for Jacksonville is all about eliminating the space that can be thrown into, even if it's not an interception, even if it's not, you know, a breakup. It's the ability to prevent them from picking up yards.
Man in motion, it's Mike Twinscrew. He goes to the outside. Johnson's in the backfield. It's going to be a pass, though, for Scar Patterson. Patterson slings it deep over the middle. Will be deflected, and it will bring up 3rd down and 10 now. As if you're Canton at this point, maybe just run the ball and either force Jacksonville to take a timeout or run the clock out.
Yeah, I do think you're right, because as much as Canton have had a limited time this possession, Jacksonville would have even less. I do think you're right. I think maybe even there's an argument to be had for Canton taking a knee here.
Let's see. Looks like they're going to try to pass, and they will. Lots of pressure coming. Good protection, though. Patterson fires, and it's complete. He gets it up to Dillapre. It's going to be 1st and 10, and they'll take their first time out here of the second half. So they go for the risk, and it pays off.
Well, yeah, and that's absolutely what you're looking for Canton. It's so hard when you have a limited amount of time to just get out of the shadow of your goalpost, that sometimes when you get out of the shadow of your goalpost, it can make it so much easier to move forward the next, 60, 70, 80 yards, whatever the case may be.
Here we go. It's going to be first down and 10. Clock is not a friend here for Scar Patterson. He fires, completes again, and that's going to be awfully close to field goal range. I don't see who he got it to there. Timeout's taken. That might have been Mike Twinscrew. I'm not too sure. Nonetheless, they're down to their last timeout.
I believe you're right. And I think Canton are going to try to get a touchdown here, or at least improve their distance to the goalposts. But you've got to save that timeout for setting up the field goal, I do believe.
Here we go. Let's see what they do in this situation. Gonna make a little bit of a motion. Gonna send a man in motion. That's gonna be Ryan Owens, the new receiver. Here we go. Long wait here. And they get it off just in time. Patterson. And it's going to be on the ground, and it is recovered. I think, no, it's recovered by the offense. It was recovered by the offensive lineman, number 65, and that will bring up 2nd and 19, though. Takes him out of field goal range.
Yeah, and boy, that devolved pretty quickly into an old school XFL kickoff drill. I mean, ball hits the ground, everyone diving for it. Just one of those instances where you got to put all the effort on the line. And the clock is, because it would be considered a stopped run, I guess.
Yep, so 12 seconds. They got to get a play off quick. Patterson fires, and it will not be complete. 8 seconds left, so they do have enough time to run a play here and try to get in the field goal range for Rob Ems.
Yeah, and this would be... Man, I don't know what the SFL record is off the top of my head, but this would have to be very close if they decided to go for a field goal, but they are going to go for it here. Canton getting the pass off and calling their last time out very close to their field goal range, and it's a very legitimate strategical question of whether they're going to go for it or whether, and that is the half. I apologize. So going into this half really was a struggle for Jacksonville. Going into the very start of this game, I mean, it looked like Canton were going to just run away with it, but Jacksonville were able to find the rhythm. They were able to put the interception out of mind. They get the big running performance by Shepard Vicarian. That big run to the outside, setting up a touchdown, a really great passing attack as well by Jacksonville, and Siege Vicarian, the man of the match so far here in this game. And I think that is a very reasonable decision that I would certainly agree with. Jacksonville looking to build on their strong first half here in the second.
Hello, do you got a copy, Alden?
I am here. We're just past the halftime whistle. Canton kicking it off to Jackson to get things started here once again in the second half. Jackson up 17 to Canton 7, and Jacksonville getting an opportunity first to build off what they did so well in the first half.
I'm back, Alden. Sorry, my Discord crashed a little bit, but we're here. We didn't miss any action. That's all that matters, Alden. Here we go. It's going to be first down and 10 from OJ Bruin, and the Kings looking to extend their lead here in the second half of the game. It's going to be a handoff to the fullback. Good run. Gain of about 3 yards. My name's PJ Zeller alongside me, Alden Bleeker. And Alden, after exciting first half, second half promises to be a doozy.
Yeah, absolutely. Just such an exciting first half, as I talked about during the halftime show. Just so much potential for Jacksonville to improve on where they started, and showing that they have come into this matchup as 3.5-point favorites for a reason.
Oh, and a big sack there. And I believe that was by number 55, Kevin Brackett, and a nice play there by Brackett.
Yeah, and it's just so much, and this is I believe the result of a couple missed blocks and just nowhere for Bruin to go. Immediately the pocket collapsing on him.
All right, here we go. 3rd and 13, and this will be a big stop for Canton if they can get Jacksonville off the field. Jacksonville steps back, does Bruin. Bruin, clean pocket, fires deep over the middle. He had his man, but he just overthrew him, and he knows it. That's a frustrating one to miss for Bruin, and that's going to force a punt.
Yeah, and especially after he was so able to find the receivers in space in the second quarter and in the first half, for that matter. And oh man, it really kind of feels like a reversal of patterns here. Canton getting the really huge first stop, and Jacksonville having to punt from the hash mark just outside the 5-yard line.
Well, Victor Ironleg punts it away. That'll be a nice punt down to about the 40, and it will come back up to the 43-yard line where Canton will take over. Canton with good field position now, and for Scar Patterson and company, this offense really going to look to put something together here. They came out of the gate swinging, and it has not been quite as great since then.
Yeah, and really, tale of two halves is your motto if you're Canton. Such a struggle as Jacksonville surged, but looking to turn things around and have a completely different performance.
Here we go. A nice carry by Johnson that time. Carries defenders for a 6-yard gain. It'll be 2nd down and 4. And 2nd down and 4. So getting back up to the line of scrimmage will be Canton. As here once again, Scar Patterson in the Canton Classics trying to get into the opponent's side of the field. Patterson under center. And this time it's going to be a handoff to Johnson. Johnson has one man to beat. Can't beat him. It'll bring up 3rd and 3.
Yeah, and tried to get to the outside, but it was Levine just hounding him all the way there, running counter to the way that he was heading for the outside. And just a great job reacting to that play by Jacksonville.
All right, so it's going to be 3rd down and 3 from about the 50. Patterson looking to pass, throws it quick, completes it, great throw, and that one's going to go to Al Dillapre Sr. Dillapre, a receiver that was kind of wasn't a crucial piece of this offense last year. It was more of a kick returner than anything. Looks like him and Scar Patterson have a great connection here.
Yeah, well, and I think that's really been, one of the big benefits of this offensive shuffle for Canton is the fact that they just have sort of, I guess, by force, had their mind opened up to different possibilities, and this connection is one of them.
Patterson is going to hang a dangerous one over the middle as he got hit. It'll fall incomplete at 2nd and 10.
And really, it's really both these teams trying to play on a rhythm is really the thing that we've been seeing through both of these halves. Canton or Jacksonville, able to find the rhythm in the first half, and now Canton in search of their rhythm.
Well, here we go. It's going to be Patterson under center, sends a man in motion. That's Owens. Owens has been the motion man for much of the game today, kind of the slot receiver. It's what they signed him from Arizona for. Patterson fires right side, completes it to Owens, and that'll take him down to about the 23-yard line. It's 1st and 10, and Scar Patterson looking pretty good here so far in the second half.
Yeah, and when you have a tough first half, as it feels like a bit of a mantra at this point, but it bears repeating that the way that you perform the first half, the way you perform the first quarter, second quarter, is not necessarily going to dictate the way you perform for the rest of the game. So Scar Patterson coming out firing over 100 yards now with that touchdown and looking to do some damage here again.
Patterson hands it off. This one's going to go up the middle for Johnson. Johnson with a good carry, gains about 4 yards. It'll be 2nd and 6.
Yeah, and a good job finding the blocks. Canton really have done a better job this half leaning into the sort of trench warfare of this new era of the SFL.
Patterson under center, has a receiver out right, a fullback and a tailback, and it's going to go to the tailback, Johnson. Johnson finds a gap. Johnson carries a defender. Johnson hustles, bustles, muscles his way for the first down. It's 1st and 10.
Yeah, just very physical run game by Canton on this drive. And to be fair, that's really how Jacksonville have run it so far as well. Both of these teams really kind of accepting that that's the new way to build your run game, is this raw physicality.
Patterson fires quick over the middle, one-hand snag down for a first down. It'll be at the 2-yard line. Great catch there by the tight end, Jack Wall. And there's an injured player, the strong safety, Levine. Looks like he is going to have to come out of the game for Jacksonville. He's been a crucial part of this defense so far today.
Yeah, and you know, always you never want to see any player go down. But the good news, I guess, if there is any for Jacksonville, is that they have, you know, extra cornerbacks and extra safeties that they brought on, both in the interest of building you know, a future with this team, and also having pieces that they can kind of move around in situations like this.
All right, Patterson comes in under center, 2 yards, first and goal. Lots of chances they're going to give to Johnson. Johnson walks in for the touchdown, and Canton fires back on their opening drive of the second half. Their defense gets the 3 and out. Their offense walks down the field and answers back after a tough second quarter, and they make it 17-13, pending the extra point.
Yeah, and he hit his mark there with just a little bit of a freeze in place there, throwing back to, what was it, 2014, 2015 with the, you know, the mannequin challenge, follows his block all the way in, and that is a much improved offensive drive for Canton.
As the extra point is good for Ebbs. And yeah, 9 plays, 58 yards, 2 minutes and 38 seconds. And, you know, this is shaping up to be a really good game. It has been the whole way. A very interesting storyline here. You know, you got Canton. They're trying to turn it around quick. They think they can become a playoff team pretty quickly with what they're doing. Jacksonville's kind of going with a slow burn rebuild. However, they have a lot of really high-profile players involved in this rebuild, as the kick will be returned down to the 10, 20, and we'll go to about the 25. But as I was saying, they're all so I think with Jacksonville, you're going to see a lot of this year explosive moments like they had in the second quarter, and probably some down quarters as well, but a lot of interesting storylines with both these teams.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and both of these teams are in rebuild mode, so it'll be interesting to see as well how they come up against some of these more established, you know, dynasties. But both of these teams are really making the case for why they deserve to, you know, become one of those dynasties, and you're really putting the pieces in place.
Bruin looking to pass. Bruin does not feel the pressure from behind, but he does break it off. Throws a pass incomplete. Was looking for Connor Weston. Can't quite get it there. I'll tell you one thing I like about Jacksonville, though, here, Alden. The quarterback they drafted, Kenny Slider, I really think that's the guy.
Yeah.
Nothing against O.J. Bruin, but I think Kenny Slider's the guy sometime in the future.
And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I'll say it anytime anyone mentions O.J. Bruin. I have nothing but positive things to say. He's a competitor on and off the field.
As he throws, and that one's going to go incomplete, 3rd and 10. Continue, Alden.
But as I was saying, you know, sometimes there truly are greener pastures out there. If someone comes along who is a better fit for the system, you know, sometimes you just gotta brush the old ego aside. You know, as I was mentioning, you know, you gotta have a little bit of an ego to succeed. But you know, I think he can make the decision when it's time to look at other options, and that's what we'll see developing in the future here, I suppose.
Weston goes right side. Bruin is going to fire over the middle, and that one's going to be deflected, falls innocently to the ground. It'll be 4th and 10 as Weston is on the ground, and that is not good. That is probably their most coveted offensive free agent they signed, and he is down and he's in pain.
And just completely supine on the turf. I mean, again, you never want to see anyone go down, but and he's limping off the field. That is ugly.
Yeah, that's a big part of their plan for this season was Connor Weston. He, like I said, 1,000-yard receiver in Arizona last year. That is a tough one there, but I want to talk a little bit more about Slider as Iron Lane's going to punt it here. I covered a lot of Lincoln games last year, and, you know, what I can say is Slider kind of reminds me of Chris Paul in basketball terms, the
Sure.
perfect game manager. He really
Mhm.
just, he's good at reading a defense as this punt is going to go down and it's going to be returned. It's going to come up to about the 40. Oh, good run there, about to 45. But he's just good at reading defenses. He really dissects. He knows what he sees at the line of scrimmage. He only takes what the defense gives him. He will fire the deep ball if need be, but he's really just a smart quarterback. And I think if he's given enough time to develop behind O.J. Bruin, he's a quarterback that, if given the right offense, can really go far in this league.
Yeah, and I think that's really sort of the key is giving Kenny Slider the time to develop. You know, you talk about, well, is OJ Bruin a stopgap player or not? The role that he plays currently is sort of an on-field leader and being a role model for Kenny Slider, kind of showing, you know, Kenny Slider how this Jacksonville team, this new era of Jacksonville, wants to build an offense, and leaving a path that Kenny Slider, whether it's here, whether it's someone else, can kind of follow in.
Here we go. Patterson under center will hand it off to Johnson. Johnson tripped up a little bit, won't go too far. It'll be 3rd and 7. You know, it's very funny, Alden, because for Canton, it's kind of the opposite. There's no young guy burning on the bench. They brought in Scar Patterson to be the guy
good.
that think he's.
And yeah, first day on the job, here's all your responsibility. Good luck, you know, sort of thing.
Yep, he has no one breathing over his shoulder. This team lives and dies with Scar Patterson this season and beyond. Patterson rolls out, fires, and almost gets it in there. Could have been picked off. He was under a lot of pressure. Tough play there for Patterson. Nonetheless, Jacksonville's D makes a stop. They'll force a punt.
Yeah, and that is, and it's again Martin, to just such a crucial part of this linebacker core for Jacksonville, making tackles, making swats. That's always been, in my estimation, one of the crucial parts of this Jacksonville defense.
Here we go. The punt is up. A lot of hang time on this one. Really good punt. Going to go down to the 20. No fair catch is called, and probably should have called it because he gets drilled, and it will be 1st and 10 from the 16.
Yeah, a little bit of an awkward hop here, but Jacksonville getting a chance to get the ball back and do some good things with it here. And OJ Bruin, I think, again, you know, it's a situation where you're under pressure. It's a situation where Canton have fired back, and you gotta, you know, you gotta calm down and really just focus on what you can control, which is this offensive drive.
All right, here we go. Looking to throw is Bruin. Bruin throws a floater. That one will be completed to Kingston Ellington. His first catch of the game, a quiet game for the former All-Star, and that will be 2nd in it too. And, you know, maybe we'll see more of him now that Connor Weston's injured.
Yeah, and historically, that's been one of the more reliable connections for OJ Bruin. Last season, Ellington 748 receiving yards and 6 receiving touchdowns. And OJ Bruin, to his credit, last season over 3,000 passing yards and 19 passing touchdowns.
Here's the first carry of the second half for Vicarian. Vicarian cuts up the sideline, and dices, carries a man with him. Oh my goodness, this kid's going to be a star in this league. First down, Shepard Vicarian. What a debut.
I don't even fully understand what we just saw. I'm watching this for the first time in replay and fully understanding it. I mean, just weebles and wobbles, just cutting in and out of the lane. He breaks this tackle here, almost breaks a second. I mean, you know, and it's not just the power, right? And it's not just the speed, it's the creativity and the vision that has been demonstrated so far in this game by Shepard Vicarian, showing that he is a worthy complement to Sean Sanders.
Here we go. It's going to be a toss to Vicarian. Oh, no, that's actually to Sanders. Sanders breaks his own tackle, gains 2 yards, will be 2nd and 8. But yeah, Vicarian showing he was worth that first-round pick. Some people questioned it a little bit if you should take a running back in the first round like that, but
especially when you have a running back that's been with your team, you know, for both seasons that he's been in the league.
It's showing that it was probably the right choice here in the first game, though. Here we go. 2nd down and 8, and it'll be a handoff to the fullback, Jay Ballmer. Ballmer gains about 4 yards. It'll be 3rd and 4, but yeah, Vicarian's just been so explosive. I mean, he has like a season highlight reel just from this game alone.
And that's just what I was just picturing, the cut up highlight reel of this game in my mind, and it's so far it's mostly Siege Vicarian, that huge run down the sideline, and body checking his way into the end zone. Those are the two of the big ones.
Here we go, completion for a first down over the middle. That one goes to Talon Steele. And Steele, he only had 210 receiving yards last year on 20 catches. And I mean, if this game's any indicator, he's going to have a breakout year this year.
Well, and I have to give, a lot of credit to Frank Gooden for his vision, seeing, not just loading up on prospects, but also taking a sort of a microscope to some of these free agents and really finding the underutilized ones to fit into the system.
Bruin's going to toss it to Vicarian. Vicarian's going to get tackled in the backfield. Couldn't escape from that one. It'll be 2nd and 11.
Yeah, really nowhere to go. Perhaps a bit of miscommunication, some jawing between Kings players going on down the field there.
Look at that. He has 112 yards after contact.
That is exceptional.
He's only had 4 yards where he hasn't been touched tonight. That is remarkable. Here we go. Bruin rolls out all the time in the world, fires deep, and he finds a man. Touchdown, David Gers. That's the first time we've said his name all day. And O.J. Bruin was patient, and he found a soft part in the defense, and he fires it in there for a touchdown.
Well, it's been O.J. Bruin, the surgeon today, just really exploiting the coverage. I don't know if they had a fantastic week in practice or just a fantastic film room session, but just such a great job by Bruin to read through, to read these defenses. And, of course, not to take anything away from Shepard Vicarian, he did a fantastic job to get them down the field. I mean, what do we say? 120 something yards after contact of 120 something yards total. I mean, this is just an exceptional performance by this Jacksonville offense, and you can see why Jack's data have taken them not only by 3.5 points, but with such a large over as well.
Yeah, it's the over-under is 44.5, and we're getting really close to that here. As here we go, the kick is up, and it is away, and it will be a knee taken by Canton, and now it's time for Scar Patterson to try to answer back. If they want to keep pace with Jacksonville, they're going to probably need to get some sort of points on the board on this drive.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Canton were able to get that touchdown to start this half, if you'll recall, to really kind of right the ship. Or depending on your perspective, to bilge some water out of the bottom deck. But they really need to build on that, just as Jacksonville have been able to build so well all game long.
Patterson calls a change at the line of scrimmage, sends his man in motion in the backfield. That'll be Pirano Rivera. He goes to the outside, and it will be a handoff now to Johnson. Johnson, nothing but daylight ahead of him. He runs back almost into the coverage. I think he should have jumped outside there. Might have had more. Nonetheless,
yeah.
7-yard gain.
Well, and we've seen it happen, not only this season, but previously in the SFL, where sometimes your block almost becomes a little bit of a trap, where the best thing that you can do is run around to the outside and run your coverage into that block. For perhaps another instance of that there.
Johnson is trying to carry a man, and he does. That's a first down. Good carry there, as we have under 2 minutes left here in the third quarter. And Canton gets the first down, as they're going to try to get down the field and get some points on the board.
Yeah, and not all the time in the world left to do it, but the clock is not exactly their enemy as well. I think they would even be okay with just putting up a field goal here. Of course, the eyes on the end zone, but it would not be the worst thing in the world.
Here we go. It's a handoff right side, and that's going to be a nice stiff arm. That's the fullback, Terriano Rivera, and he will pick up a first down. Nice carry for the fullback.
Well, usually you use the fullback to just go run a dive play or an ISO right up the middle, just get those extra yards. And to his credit, does get around to the outside and past the down marker. But a great instance of a fullback being used for more than and short situations.
24-14 in favor of Jacksonville, but Canton driving here late in the third quarter, trying to keep this one an interesting contest like it's been for most of the night here. So here we go, handoff, and that one's going to be a nice move by Johnson. Johnson stays on his feet. He gains 6 yards. It is 2nd and 4 now as Canton showing some life.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, as you say, that coming to life is a very good term for it, because in that first half, Canton seemed very listless, but is seemingly able to diagnose what the issue was in the halftime break and have made those decisions to those tailor-made adjustments.
Johnson gets a first down and more, carries the defender with him. He's down to the Jacksonville 40-yard line, and they keep the ball churning here. As there's a good chance that could be the last play of the third quarter, but Canton is on the move.
Yeah, and marching down the field little by little. It's the same way that Jacksonville have been so successful all game, just not really, besides the one interception and at the start of the game, really have not forced the issue too much. And as a result, have just been able to pick up yards little by little.
Here we go. Are they going to get a playoff? 3, 2... They do get a playoff. It's a handoff. This one goes to Rivera. Rivera gets a nice gain, 8 yards, and that'll be the last play of the third quarter. And the score is 20 for Jacksonville, 14 Canton. We are going to take a short break for station identification. Don't go anywhere, my friend. We'll be right back here with more SFL Week 1 action.
The Simulation Football League is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or account of the game without the express written consent of the league office is prohibited.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask if we were on pause or what the deal was.
And we are back here live as Justin Levine
has elbow tendonitis.
Yeah, he is out with elbow tendonitis, so he will not be returning to the game here today. And it is going to be 2nd and 2 here in the fourth quarter when we get back to the action here. Canton ball, they're driving down the field. 10 minutes left to go here in the fourth quarter. My name's PDJ Zeller, and alongside me is Alden Bleeker. As here we go, Scar Patterson. I keep wanting to call him Shaq, but his name is Scar. he gets up underneath the center here in the I formation. Patterson is going to give a handoff this time to Johnson. Johnson has some space, but he's just going to fall innocently to the ground. He did get the first down, though, so it'll be 1st and 10.
Shaq Patterson, I believe he plays on the same team as Siege Vicarian. But another really good run there by Canton. You know, really tough to lose a player to, I believe that is the Latin for tennis elbow. And Jacksonville's defense really going to have to work together as a unit here through the last stretch of this game.
Here we go, Johnson, the handoff to him up the middle. It's going to be 2nd down and 9. Nothing really there. It's going to be a 1-yard gain, 2nd and 9. So as we continue to click some clock away here, it's been a pretty interesting contest here between two teams that are rebuilding. A touchdown here would push the over. So a touchdown here and an extra point, we would go over on the over-under early in the fourth quarter. That's an interesting thing to think about. But here we go. Scar Patterson fires left side, and there's a flag. That's interference. I think I saw a jersey tug. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's an argument for professional fouls, especially when you're this far down the field. But, you know, as we bring it up on Telestrator, oh man, and just a case of misplaced hands. I think that's most of the time an okay thing to do, but just too close to the receiver at the time that it happened.
Well, they're going to be down now at the 11-yard line. They're looking to punch it into the end zone. Throws right side, and now that one, I think that was pass interference more than the last one there. I want to see a replay on that. My goodness.
Yeah, and that is just such a great reaction as well. You know, Jacksonville, have been trying to get back into their rhythm. A bit of a funky time signature this drive thrown at them by Canton.
All right, so here we go. Patterson looking to fire. He fires middle. It's picked off. It is picked off, and what a game he is having today. John Martin, a couple of big sacks early, and now the interception.
And it's John Martin again, we should say, perhaps the 5-season member of the Jacksonville Kings has been there for my entire tenure as the Jacksonville King. And again, you're seeing why they're just able to step up into the pocket. Jacksonville have been sort of on their back foot this entire drive and just steps up and grabs this ball out of the air. It almost takes the air out of Canton here.
All right, here we go. It's going to be a handoff to Vicarian. Vicarian, nice gain there. He's going to gain a few yards, about 4. It'll be 2nd and 6. As now Canton, their defense needs to get their get the Jacksonville offense off the field quickly.
Yeah, and this is Shepard Vicarian has been such a fantastic runner today, and they're making heavy use of this I formation here very early on in this drive. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Vicarian muscles down for another 4 yards. It'll be 3rd and 2. Has a pretty big 3rd and 2 here, honestly, for Canton. They want to get this Jacksonville team off the field, and Jacksonville looking to burn some more clock.
Yeah, and that's really the name of the game for Jacksonville. They're not so much, I mean, I'm sure they would take it, but they're really not interested too much in a touchdown as much as they are milking time off the clock. If they could bring this down past 4 minutes, 3 minutes, even to the 2-minute warning, they would be absolutely thrilled.
Oh! Vicarian puts it on the ground and it's recovered by Jamal. Oh, Vicarian was probably having the best game of anyone today, and he puts it on the ground in clutch time. Oh no.
Oh my, yeah, and just popped it. We're not quite able to see what happened. I mean, just sort of a drop of the ball there, and it could not have come in a more inopportune position on the field.
Well, they might be saying that in Jacksonville, but in Canton, they're saying it couldn't have came in a more opportune position on the field. They get the ball right back where they had it at the 14-yard line, and Patterson's going to toss it to Johnson. Johnson gets gobbled alive, gains 1 yard.
Yeah, a matter of perspective, as you say, that is very true. And man, Canton starting, I mean, almost identically, yard for yard where they were.
John Martin having an excellent game today. If Jacksonville hangs on, he deserves a lot of praise. Patterson sends a man in motion once against the slot receiver, Ryan Owens. Owens lines up in the slot. Patterson has Johnson in the backfield, lots of options. He's looking to throw, slings it over the middle, caught, touchdown. That is caught by Jack Wall, I believe his 2nd of the game. And just like that, Canton is right back in the thick of it here.
The former King himself, again, we talked earlier in this game about how he really likes to take advantage of his height to sort of just go up and grab it. And again, really just sort of reaches his arms out past the reach of the defenders, even jumping for it, and just creates the space for himself. That is a fantastically executed pass and a fantastically executed catch for that matter.
Well, here's a big one for all my gambling friends out here. If this one goes, the over will hit today. So easy for Ep. And good, and yep, we hit the over. So this game goes over with 7:24 left in the 4th quarter, and Canton now just trails by 3 points. And what has just been such a good week 1 game. You know, we're so lucky, Alden, that they picked us to do this one, because I mean, 2 teams on the rebuild and 2 teams looking pretty good here in this one. As the kick is up and it is away. That one will go down to right about the 1 yard line, and it will be brought out and returned. This is going to be brought out to the 20. 25, and that is where Jacksonville will start with the ball.
Yeah, and it's really, you know, man, it's so tough when you get the ball back, you force the ball back into your own hands, and you know you give it up. I mean, again, it's a talking point that we keep bringing up, but when bad things happen to you, when you're up, you just got to pretend, oh, what fumble, what touchdown. You know, and the marching orders for Jacksonville are very much the same. Hold on to the ball and take some time off the clock.
Well, here we go. It's going to be a pass for Bruin. Bruin slings it deep, and oh, it's a deflection. That one was dangerous. It was in the area of Joshua Durr. It'll fall to the ground, though, 2nd and 10.
Yeah, and this is really the opportunity for Jacksonville. I mean, OJ Bruin has been, you know, as much as we talk about Shepard Vicarian, his ability to run the ball, and it's really been OJ Bruin in terms of the passing attack, his ability to read the defense and dissect the defense, that really has been such a big part of it.
I think you got to give it back to Shepard Vicarian, and they do. Vicarian breaks a tackle, breaks another one, breaks another one. Vicarian still on his feet, gains 7 yards. It's 3rd and 3, and yeah, this is where you're going to learn a lot about Shepard Vicarian. He just made a bad play that really could cost his team this game here today. How is he going to respond to that adversity? Will he put it behind them and get them down the field, or what?
Yeah, I think you really do have to lean on him heavily. I mean, because of what we just saw, and certainly going forward, but especially into other games, but especially because of what we just saw, looked like he was going to be knocked down. Somehow, some way, manages to stay up and find about 5 or 6 yards after contact.
Bruin throws, easy completion over the middle. That's going to be caught. Connor Weston, who was injured earlier, is back in the game. And the big free agent signee picks up a 1st down. It's 1st and 10.
Yeah, definitely tennis elbow. As someone who grew up in a tennis family, it's very uncomfortable. It's very painful, but it usually is not something that you immediately need to attend to unless it's like nagging you. So I think it shows a lot of guts to go down with an injury and, you know, later in the game come back up and get back into it.
Vicarian ran for 4 yards. It's going to be 2nd down and 6. Vicarian taking a lot of the offensive load on his shoulders today. The clock continues to tick as Jacksonville grins, and a scowl, I would say, from Canton as Vicarian once again gets the carry. He's brought down after a gain of 4. It's 3rd down and 2. The clock ticks underneath 6 minutes, and now a big 3rd down awaits both teams.
Yeah, and really kind of feels like not quite a coin flip, but one of those situations where, well, to tie back into a coin flip, much like No Country for Old Men, just kind of the outcome really kind of hinging all on this one moment.
Well, here we go. It goes to Vicarian. Vicarian's going to get gobbled up. He can't get there. Shows up about a yard short, and it will be a stop. So a punt will be forced, and Canton will take back over as they force the punt here as Jacksonville not quite able to get the 1 extra yard they needed. One of the few times all day where Vicarian couldn't quite get it, as Iron Leg will come out to punt it deep.
Yeah, Jacksonville called it in the air, and it did not come up in their favor. This is a fantastic punt. Jacksonville really need badly a stop, and they'll have some time. Of course, we assume Canton gonna try to march down the field here, but they've put them in a situation where they have to go for a touchdown if they want to win. Of course, they could go for a field goal and try to send it into extra time, but really, they know that Canton are going to be eyeing a touchdown all the way, and that they're going to get at least one more chance at the ball here, ideally.
There goes Skylar Patterson under center. Johnson's in the backfield. It's going to be a toss right side to Johnson. Johnson breaks a tackle, stays on his feet, and he gains 6 yards. It'll be 2nd and 4. And really, 3 timeouts, 5 minutes to go here for Canton. They have all they need to really just make this a nice long march down the field and ride off into the sunset as they would like to. Well, here we go. Patterson's going to get back up to the line of scrimmage under center. Robert Johnson in the backfield, 1 receiver out left. Looks like this could be a motion situation. It won't be. It'll be a run to the right-hand side of the field. Johnson breaks 1 tackle, won't break them all. Gets about 1 yard short of the 1st down. It'll be 3rd and 1.
Yeah, and again, it's a very similar situation to what we just saw on the other side of the ball for Jacksonville. A very important situation for Canton coming up.
Here we go. 3rd down and 1. Patterson under center. Could it be a QB sneak? Will it go to Johnson? Will they pass it? Huge situation. It'll be a toss. Johnson, nothing but daylight. He's going to get it and a good bit more. He's down to about his own 40-yard line as the clock will tick down to around 4 minutes. Canton on the move.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see here this really great block. Oh my goodness. Just creates the space, and that is a flat back block, and that really creates the space for the run there. So a run that was gonna be 2 or 3 yards opens all the way up.
Patterson under center, 2 receivers to the right-hand side of the field. Clock down to 4 minutes. Time shouldn't be a factor. They have 3 timeouts, and they want this clock to tick. Hand off to Johnson. Johnson makes a nice move. Johnson stays on his feet. Johnson down to midfield as the clock goes under 4 minutes now, and suddenly everything pointing in the direction of Canton after they've trailed for a majority of the day.
Yeah, and we're gonna see here again, just stopping the flood here towards the first down marker, and it's really been kind of out of nowhere. But Robert Johnson, the halfback for Canton, really has kind of showed up in a way that is similar, perhaps not quite comparable to Shepard Vicarian.
Here we go. It's going to be a handoff to Kane Hunter, the fullback turned halfback. He won't get anything, though. It's going to be 3rd and 1. Now this is going to be a big situation here for Canton. And the clock kind of becoming a factor because they don't just want to kick a field goal and tie it. They'd like to get the touchdown and get out of here with the victory. So they do want to keep this ball moving. But here we go. It's going to be a big 3rd down and 1 as they get up to the line of scrimmage. Patterson under center, long I formation. They bring Johnson back out, showing rush here, and they will with Rivera, the fullback. Rivera picks up the first down as the clock will tick under 3 minutes.
Yeah, and perhaps most consequentially for Jacksonville, if Canton are able to get a touchdown, get a field goal, whatever the case may be, I mean, they really want to use that 2-minute warning as effectively a 4th timeout, and Canton almost certainly gonna take that away here.
Yeah, it's been a slow burn of a drive, but it's what Canton needs. They get a sack. There will be a sack that will keep the clock turning, and the clock is a frivolous thing right now. It could be the friend of either team as a big sack happens.
Yeah, and man, it's gonna be and again, so almost a mirror of a play that we saw earlier in this game, where the pocket just sort of collapsed on OJ Bruin, or was never really properly formed, I guess would be a better way to put it. And again, just not really the pocket, not really forming, and it knocks Canton back a few yards here.
Here we go. Patterson looking to sling it. Slings it left side, complete. That's going to be Rivera. Fullback, a nice move, and he gets a first down. What a day for the fullback, Terriano Rivera. And that will probably take us to the 2-minute warning. What a play.
Yeah, it puts on a move that gets him past John Martin here. John Martin does a fantastic job to recover after this, spinning on a dime basically to get back around. But that is just a great pitch and catch and a great move.
Well, this will take us down to the 2-minute warning. Both teams with all timeouts. It is Canton, though, down to the Jacksonville 35, trying to steal one here in front of the home faithful crowd. And for Scar Patterson, the new quarterback here for the Canton Classics, he was given a call in the offseason, said, hey, your current situation isn't working out too well for you. What do you think about coming to Canton and taking control of this team and seeing what we can do? Well, here he is, week 1, and a chance to leave his mark on this fan base with a game-winning drive if he can make it happen. Here we go. 1st down and 10. It'll be a toss back to Johnson. Johnson with a lot of room. Johnson gains about 5.
Yeah, and this is really kind of the be all end all, it feels like, this drive, because Canton have the ability to take about 30 seconds off the play clock each down here, and that of course they've got to move a little faster than that, but it feels like they are in control of the clock here.
Johnson goes nowhere on the carry. It'll be 3rd down and 6. The clock will continue to run. Canton is in field goal range, so I mean, they are certainly within the range where they can kick a field goal if they like, but they would like the end zone. Big 3rd down and 6 here. Scar Patterson has 2 receivers on each side, and Johnson in the backfield. Big play for Patterson. His first season on this new team. Can he make a big play? Rolls out right, fires, and he gets a completion. He gets it to the new receiver, Ryan Owens, the new guy to the new guy, and that's a huge first down.
Yeah, breaking through there is it really feels like Canton were running up against a brick wall and now able to get through. Oh man, and they could put up points with so little time left on the clock.
That's really bone-crushing scenario here for Jacksonville. After the game they had played, their defense desperately needs a stop. Jack Wall goes in motion. Patterson firmly in control of this offense down to the 14-yard line. They're in the red zone. Johnson in the backfield will be a toss left-hand side to him. Johnson has some room. He gets down to the 10, and that will be 35 seconds left on the clock. Now, I might have used a timeout there. They got to keep going.
They're not using. I guess they want to reserve those timeouts for setting a field goal, but they are hurrying up to the line.
Yeah, they're going to have to move quickly here. Let's see what they're going to do. 20 seconds left. I would imagine a pass play here, taking a lot of time, and it's going to be a run. Johnson, he has some space. Johnson, he's just short. They do take the timeout. 12 seconds left on the clock. It's going to be 1st and goal from the 3-yard line, as this one is coming down to a dramatic ending in week 1.
Yeah, and two plays, 3 plays. Oh man, this is really the final stand for Jacksonville. How appropriate that it is right against they're planted against their goal line.
Here we go. It's 1st and goal. Patterson in the shotgun, rare shotgun situation, sends Owens in motion. 12 seconds left on the clock. Can Patterson have a moment? Throws it into the end zone. It's picked off! It is picked off in the end zone! The one thing they couldn't have happen! Towers picks it off, and Jacksonville on opening night is gonna barely escape by the skin of their teeth with a victory.
Oh, and it is Roy Towers just lurking deep in the end zone, and it's such a good read all the way down the field by Scar Patterson. And he does a great job reading it vertically, does a great job reading it horizontally. But oh man, that is such a great complete interception by Roy Towers, the rookie, making quite an impression in his first regular season SFL game.
Victory formation. They'll have to take a couple knees because Canton does have some timeouts. They will take one. 4 seconds left. Canton down to 1 timeout. So probably 2 more knees will be required from Jacksonville. But Jacksonville, after a 2-win season last year, in week 1, they're already going to double their win total from the last year, as they're going to leave here 1-0. And Canton, after a great effort here at the end of this game, they're going to fall to 0-1, but I think that team will have more than 4 wins in them this season compared to last year. Jacksonville takes the knee. The timeout will be called. 3 seconds left, and the next knee will end it.
Yeah, and we talked about the highlight reel for the highlight reel for Shepard Vicarian. I think if you upload that to YouTube, the title of that is just one word: wow. Because that really is, I think, the word for the performance that Shepard Vicarian put on today for Jacksonville. Of course, OJ Bruin did a fantastic job leading this offense, dissecting the Canton defense, but it really was Shepard Vicarian who popped in a very successful Jacksonville offense here today.
The final score is the Jacksonville Kings 24, the Canton Classics 21, and the over did hit 45. The over was 44.5, and we did not have Jacksonville cover. Canton was able to cover that, as the Jacksonville was minus 3.5. So final score 24-21, and well, now it's probably about time to us to break down the game. And this started off, Canton came out of the gate swinging very hot, got down the field, got that opening touchdown. But then it was Jacksonville. They fired back, answered really quick in the first quarter, dominated the second quarter. Then we had a little back and forth in the third quarter, but then it was the fourth quarter, Alden. Looked like Canton was going to come back. They got the touchdown. They were driving. They were down to the 3-yard line with 7 seconds left in the game, and it is an interception by Patterson into the end zone that ended this one here today. And, I think, Alden, we're going to pick 2 players of the game here today. I'll let you pick one of them. I'm going to pick one right now, though. And, hold on. Sorry, I lost my stat sheet really quick. Let me get it back up. All right. The first one I'm going to go with is going to be John Martin, the inside linebacker. Yeah. He was such a factor today. I'm going with John Martin as one of the 2.
I was gonna say if you don't take the easy one, I will. I do think that certainly John Martin is one of the 2. Great tackling today, as per usual. 4 tackles for loss, of course. Had the interception, and just such a big part of the Jacksonville defense. I think the other one, a pretty straightforward choice as well. Shepard Vicarian for Jacksonville had that huge run in the first half and the touchdown, and that really kind of, I feel like, was the offensive spark for Jacksonville when OJ Bruin was struggling a little bit towards the latter parts of the second half. He was still on, he was still firing, and it kept Jacksonville moving down the field, able to hold on to get this very tight 3-point lead. And 3.5 points turned out to be just the correct prediction as well by Jack's data.
Well, that'll do it here on opening week here from Jacksonville. Lots of great more SFL action coming up ahead of you. It is the Kings, after a 2-win season last year, winning on opening day 24-21 against the Canton Classics. My name is PDJ Zeller. Alongside me today, Alden Bleeker. As always, it was a pleasure working with Alden. Back in the studio, Cameron pressing all the buttons, making the hard work happen, making this broadcast look as beautiful as it always does. This is the SFL. We will see you very soon again, my friend. Thank you, and have a good afternoon.